If you've never been in a contact before, the first time you come under contact, it really is exhilarating. Just the fact that you're within inches at times of losing your life.
Whoa! Where the fuck are they coming from?
That certainly puts it into perspective.
Get out of that back blast. Right, we've got enemy in the hedge line 100 metres forward there. They're trying to push to the north.
You don't see the Taliban. They're very clever. They're box clever. They're hard to locate. They were very cunning. We've been in contact for about 12 hours, and one of the Afghan soldiers stood completely in the open. A round struck the base of his magazine, just missing him and missing the rest of the guys in the area. And he just looked at us and laughed.
We haven't got enough ammunition to fire a burst like that.
The NA in the field were very different. Some were very good, some were very poor. Some were regular drug users, some weren't.
So Davis.
We need to start bringing in resupplies of water, food and especially ammunition.
Ray, get them all up and get them tight in on this line. Okay, that's it.
Big shake! Taking small arms fire and RPG about 200 metres to our front. We're a bit pinned down at the moment. We're going to try and move out now.
We kept progressing, trying to clear compounds. We had to bring in mortars, we had to bring in artillery, and we brought in attack helicopters. We brought in fast air as well.
Charlie 1, 30 seconds to airstrike.
What's fucking talking now, is he? It's the busiest day I've had, probably the biggest day I've had in my career since I've been in it, in terms of contacts.
They don't know how many they've killed, but joke that the insurgents almost seem to embrace death.
They're the kind of people that believe when they die they're going to wake up with 27 virgins, and, you know, so how can you fight against someone like that who doesn't give a shit? It's like as soon as I die I'll be going back to Tottenham, I'd fucking run at the bullets.
Casualties becomes part and parcel of the operation. The memories never go away, and the hardest thing about it, I think, is seeing subsequent troops suffering the same casualties and the same statistics and loss of limbs and deaths.
Yeah, they was on a patrol and he was shot through the neck. I was looking forward to coming back, but I didn't want to come back to my friend's funeral.
Guardsman Darrell Hickey was killed at the age of 27. Britain's death toll now reached 73.
I was in the Queen's Company with Hickey since I joined the Queen's Company 4.5 years ago. He always helped us and always, you know, he's like a really, really nice person, got on well. It's not going to be nice going home without him.
Throughout 2007, attempts were made to get back on the front foot, to take the war to the enemy. But doing that spread pain to more and more people. Up near the Kajaki Dam, war had turned a thriving bazaar into a ghost town.
The people went and they've still not come back, which is very hard to reconcile with the aim of waging a campaign to benefit people here.
Official UN figures are almost certainly an underestimation, but even they indicate nearly 9,000 Afghan civilians have been killed nationwide since 2007, the vast majority at the hands of insurgents. But British forces have been responsible for some. In May 2008, British mortars fired smoke to protect a patrol that was about to be ambushed in the Kajaki Hills.
A young girl called Shabia, who was young, seven years of age, who was accidentally killed by a mortar round which was fired by a British mortar. It was absolutely tragic. It was not fired haphazardly, it was fired in defence of other British soldiers. I'm still affected by it now, because the last thing I want anybody to think is that I'm going to come here to this country and my legacy will be the destruction of the country or the people here. It was an awful day, truly, truly awful day.
The reality of what is euphemistically called collateral damage became more and more apparent at the highest levels. In autumn 2007, Brigadier Andrew Mackay, the new British commander, arrived. He was highly dubious of his predecessor's focus on bombs, bullets and bodies.
Killing the enemy in large numbers, as satisfying as it might be, is not necessarily going to allow you to win through and succeed. Any focus on body count is a sort of corrupt measure of effectiveness.
But what it really meant was putting the prime emphasis on winning people over and really subordinating everything you did to the aim of securing and influencing the population. And meeting Brigadier Mackay here in this garden in early 2008, he was quite evangelical about it.
We were pretty clear from the outset that the population was going to be the prize and that everything that we did was going to be in support of that population. First impressions were that we as an army hadn't evolved its thinking either intellectually or conceptually.
So he approached General Petraeus, author of a new US counterinsurgency manual, an approach credited with pulling Iraq back from the brink.
It was coherent, it was up to date, it was full of ideas. I just thought it was a very, very good document for its time. And so we used that as the basis of our counterinsurgency doctrine.
The new approach put winning the population at the centre of everything. But the insurgents had to be defeated before civilian lives could be improved, which meant going on the offensive. It was summarised as clear, hold, build. For too long, the British had just done the clear part of that.
I wasn't going to be drawn into clearing unless I could definitely hold. And I wasn't going to clear and hold unless I could definitely build.
These American ideas shaped Brigadier Mackay's planning for a big operation to restore British pride and retake Musa Qala.
I was pretty insistent that we wouldn't bomb any part of Musa Qala. We didn't put any artillery rounds into Musa Qala because I wanted a town that was up and running as soon as we got into it.
Brigadier Mackay deployed overwhelming force. Thousands of British troops secured the town. An American airborne battalion fought their way in before allowing Afghan troops the symbolic finale.
Those scenes we had where an Afghan soldier climbed the tower in the middle of Musa Qala to remove the Taliban flag and plant the Afghan flag were hugely important.
Mackay's population-focused tactics had worked. The locals voted with their feet and returned to a town that was largely intact. But insurgent tactics evolved as well as the British ones. Their weapon of choice was the deadly IED, or improvised explosive device, a homemade bomb often packed with shrapnel. They were a constant hazard to every patrol, where any suspicious hole or rock in the road might hide explosives, forcing a dangerous process of investigation and disposal. IEDs killed 80 British troops in 2009, 3/4 of the total fatalities. Sangin was IED central, accounting for half the incidents in Helmand. In the summer of 2009, part of the garrison was 9 platoons C Company, 2 rifles. Corporal Jonathan Horn was the father of 2 children. Rifleman Daniel Simpson had an 8-month-old son. They were joined by Rifleman James Backhouse and Joe Murphy. On the 10th of July, they went on a dawn patrol in Sangin.
As we headed down the alleyway, I was in the back section, and I heard the dreaded sound of a large blast. We started to see the bodies of Rifleman James Backhouse had been killed outright. At this stage, we also realised that we were coming under small arms fire from the enemy. Another secondary device went off, which was louder than the first one. At this stage, 3 more people died instantly. Corporal Jonathan Horn, Rifleman Daniel Simpson, and Rifleman Murphy. We identified them through what they were wearing.
Rifleman William Aldridge died later of his wounds, making him the 5th fatality. 3 other British soldiers perished within 24 hours, the total of 8, making it the worst day in the campaign. Was Britain still trying to hold too much ground with too few soldiers?
And that really opened up the whole issue once more about just how many troops was Britain able and willing to commit to securing Helmand.
We had got to about the limit of our sustainable deployed force. It wasn't sufficient even for Helmand, let alone more widely across the south. We may well have had to withdraw. We would certainly have had to take a different approach.
In 4 years of campaigning, the British had more than doubled their force. It was approaching 10,000 and spent billions. But the governor of Helmand since 2008 feels positive results had been distinctly limited.
تقریبا مونږ د پام وړ پیشرفت نه لرو. په هغه وخت کې د هلمند ولایت له 14 ولسوالیو څخه یوازې 6 ولسوالۍ د هلمند ادارې یا د افغانستان د اسلامي جمهوریت تر حاکمیت لاندې وي. هغه هم زیاتره د ولسوالیو مراکز د یو نظامي پوستې په حیث موجود وو.
General Petraeus was the author of the counterinsurgency strategy and had switched his attentions to Afghanistan.
Let's make no mistake about it. The Taliban had the momentum, broadly speaking, in Afghanistan until probably sometime last fall.
The British force in Helmand was under-resourced, make no mistake. But I will leave that to British leadership, both military and division, civilian, to decide how much it was under-resourced.
American generals decided a major reinforcement was needed in Helmand, putting the Brits in the back seat. Some had been saying it for years.
It actually began with me. I began to express to the leadership of the United States of America that this was an under-resourced force. Maneuver forces, flying machines, and intelligence. That did not change until, I'd say, 2010.
The American decision to surge was part of a broader strategy. They wanted to turn back the insurgency, stand up a larger Afghan army, and then leave. In order to do that, they were sending in many more troops, 20,000 in Helmand alone. It would lead to a radical reorganization on the ground.
What we wanted to do in Helmand was literally just clean up the battlefield geometry. British forces up here, British forces here, Marines over here. I didn't get a sense of coherence. We're going to clean it up in what I think is a much more coherent and sensible